The greatest achievement of the Natural Capital Committee in its 8 years of existence has been first to propose a 25-year plan and then to help see that through into the plan itself, and then the Environment Bill, and onto the creation of the Office for Environmental Protection. Delivering the 25-year plan is a lot more difficult than coming up with the idea. The first part, coming up with the ideas, we found in the Natural Capital Committee pretty straightforward. After all, who could object to a plan over a generation to leave the natural environment in a better state than we found it? But delivering it requires an institutional architecture, it requires a metrics architecture, and it requires targets. So, first of all, a statutory basis. There have been loads of environmental plans in the past, and they are things that politicians can celebrate, announce, proclaim their dedication to achieving the objectives. But without statutory support, when other things come along, they're more easily pushed aside. We've seen the power of statutes when it comes to climate change, and the same kind of consideration applies to our wider natural environment. So getting the 25-year plan implemented requires statutory protection and support and underpinning. And that's what the Environment Bill is intended to do. It might not be perfect, but even if it's not perfect, there's a great deal that it can achieve. So at the heart of the 25-year plan are the 10 goals, and these are everything from air quality, water quality, waste, and some odd things thrown in like productivity as well, but they're broadly encompassing the sorts of things that we would want to aim for over the next 25 years. But what was new when the 25-year plan was being taken forward to the Environment Bill was Brexit. And Brexit meant that the 25-year plan had to have a replacement for the European directives in a whole host of areas. If the air doesn't meet the clean air requirements in the EU directive, then you take the government to court. What was going to happen after Brexit and after the Brexit transition? Well, the answer was to put at least some of the goals within the 25-year plan on a statutory basis. And it's statutory in the sense the government has to come forward with targets, and it's required by law that they're met. And the first 4 of those will be forthcoming in 2022. And of course the carbon one is already on the UK statute book. So that's a statutory basis. And those targets matter, and the challenge is to build on the legacy that we've created at the Natural Capital Committee to give them real substance. They shouldn't be full of wriggle room where people can just say, oh, well, this went up and that went down, but you know what, broadly, we think we're going in the right direction. No, they have to be measurable, and they have to be achievable, and someone has to be held responsible for delivering them. So that's what's going to happen next, that creation of that superstructure and that underpinning. And that's where the work that we've done in the Natural Capital Committee can be built on. And at the heart of this is the idea that there are core hard metrics about the natural capital assets and the state of those assets, and those measurable assets can be looked at over time to see whether the government has been making them better, improving our natural environment, or letting things slip, as frankly has been happening for most of the time that the Natural Capital Committee's been in existence, and indeed for the last 30 or 40 or 50 years. So it's a big tide to turn. We advised that there should be a baseline census of natural capital assets so we know what we've got. There should be focus on capital maintenance to make sure things don't go backwards, and to look for the enhancements with the greatest economic potential. And that's the core to making the 25-year plan really happen. If it doesn't bring benefits to people, if we aren't, in the most broader sustainable sense, better off as a result, then public support will be limited. So we've set out just how big those economic opportunities are, how to measure them, how to account for them, what the framework should be, and that's our gift to the Office for Environmental Protection.